Hi everybody, I want to go over just a couple things about the history major and minor and just history classes in general that we have here at UNCG. I have some bullet points that I want to go over listed on the screen here, and then there's a short website that I want you to see. We've got tons of links for anybody who's interested in the history major or minor or just history classes in general that I can provide for you upon request. So the first bullet point, though, that I want to go over kind of deals with sort of preconceived notions that you might have about what it means to be a history major or minor. And I think a big preconceived notion is that being a history major means you can only be a teacher once you graduate. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true at all. There are millions of jobs that you can take on after you graduate as a history major or with a minor. Employers don't care as much about your particular degree as they do about what kinds of skills you picked up while you were in college. And we're talking about transferable skills here. Being able to write effectively, being able to think critically are the kinds of skills that employers want out of job candidates. And those are things that I think we go over pretty much the entire faculty in the UNCG history department. I think we go over those pretty well in all of our classes. And then the second bullet point, when it comes to hiring and promoting, employers are more interested in independent thinkers, not just rule-following drones. They want people who can think for themselves, who can innovate for a project, or whatever the case might be. So that is something else that comes out of history courses here at UNCG as part of the creative process in being a history major or minor. And the third bullet point is it goes along with potentially being a teacher after you graduate with a history degree. You don't have to be a teacher. I can't stress that enough. You can be, and a lot of people do once they major in history, but it's not the only thing you can do. And so I want to say in our third bullet point that over time, history majors earn as much or more than other majors do, other disciplines do, including those that you might think of as more practical disciplines, such as nursing or business. If you get a business degree, everybody thinks that means jobs. It doesn't always, because again, employers are interested in those skills that we talked about in some earlier bullet points. And now our fourth and fifth bullet points here, I think, are sort of related, and what they really mean is that you will just be smarter. You'll be a better participant in the American democracy if you are a history major. You understand things, why certain problems exist in the country, why certain problems don't exist in the country, and those are things that you can learn as being a history major, from being a history major. So I think that it's worth thinking about at least picking up a couple extra classes and then considering maybe making it a minor. But certainly you can do this as a major. It'll make you smarter. And the best example I can think of off the top of my head is that when you go to a Thanksgiving dinner or a dinner with your friends and they start telling you about what the Civil War was about, you can tell them, well, I know what it was about because I've studied it. Not just the Civil War, but anything that's happened in history. You can talk about the Civil Rights Movement more effectively and why certain current events are as big a problem as they are. These are the kinds of things that you'll learn as a history major, and you can transfer them to your everyday life. And if nothing else, it just makes you sound a little bit smarter than everybody else, something I always like to do. The last bullet point that I want to go over right here is that I want you all to know how many different courses we do offer at UNCG. You might have just signed up for whichever one you're in right now because your advisor told you to. But if you actually go through our course catalog, which I'll bring up here in just a second, we have courses for everybody. I mean, if there's something you're interested in and you want to explore it more, I encourage you to do that. And I'll show you how to get to that on our website right here. So this is our history webpage, the department's webpage, and it's just search history on the UNCG page, and you'll come right here. And I'll just open this up a little bit if I can. There we go. And so if you want to look at what courses we have to offer, you can click on the courses link right here, scroll down, and then these are the ones coming up for next year. So as you're advising, I think advising is going on soon or right now even. You'll be looking at these 200 to 400 levels, mostly the 500 to 700 levels. Those are mostly graduate courses. Some advanced undergrads can take the 500 level courses, but just click on this one and you can scroll through and you can see if you're interested in African history. Dr. Krieger does African history to 1870 next fall. If you're interested in a survey of the pre-modern world, Professor Shelton can do that too. And then you just scroll down and you can see how many classes we actually have here. There's something for everybody in here is what I'm trying to say. So consider it. I think you might look through this and find something that you like. And if you're not completely sold on all of those, you can look through our syllabi archive right here. Click on a random one, fall 2014, for example, and then you just pick a random one. What was Dr. Ruzicka teaching back in the fall of 2014? He had this class on the ancient world, so if anybody's interested in the ancient world, you can look through a syllabus right here and see what to expect in something like that. And then coming back to the page, you can always check out the faculty and staff page. And I know you're supposed to rate my professors with a grain of salt, but you can look up Dr. Barton right here and then go look him up on Rate My Professors and determine whether or not you want to take that class or not. So there's tons of resources on here, and if anybody is interested in taking a history course in the future, becoming a history major potentially, I suggest you start on our webpage. You can see what the requirements are on the undergraduate tab. There's the major and minor requirements here. You can just go through that and figure out what you want to do. There's different categories, different things you can pick from. So I encourage everybody to just take a look at it and see if you see something that you do like. Now I want to show you this web page that I will link. So what we're trying to say here, and one of our mottos in the history department, is to learn from the past and prepare for your future. And so here's just sort of an overview of what you can do as a history major, and we call it the liberal arts advantage, because it's not just history, but they're all liberal arts. There are advantages to it. So there are career prospects for history majors, and here's this little infographic that I promised you. So this is taken from the Wall Street Journal. You can see that history here in red, the average after 20 years is 81,000, which sounds like $1 million to me. So here's the median, though, in accounting. So it's not that much more. And then you got your business degrees, about the same as history. Your nurses, a little bit less than history. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. We're not just making this up in the history departments. Now here on the right, we have what the history department has figured out that employers are looking for. They want the capacity to innovate and think creatively, which we talked about. They want you to think critically, communicate clearly, and solve problems. So these are the kinds of things that you would learn how to do in a history course. At UNCG, we really try hard to impart these skills on you while we're teaching history. And so we can just go down, scroll down the page here, and I'll link this on our page just so you have a sense of what's going on. You can look at some of this stuff. Here's some possible job descriptions that you could take on later on after you graduate as a history major. And if anybody's interested in graduate school, that's a possibility too. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I just kept going to school, and eventually I found out that I wanted to be a history teacher, which you don't have to do, but it's a possibility. I'll link this page and scroll through it, and I think you'll find that there's more things you can do as a history major than just teach. So what I really want you to do is consider this. I mean, you don't have to change your major today or tomorrow, but maybe take an extra history class next semester just to see whether or not this is something that you might consider doing later on. And if you have any questions, definitely email me and ask me about those questions. I'm happy to answer. Anybody in the history department, I'm sure, will be happy to answer. Our director of undergraduate studies, his name is Dr. Peter Villela. He would be happy to answer any of your questions, and if you want to talk to him, please ask me, and I'll get you in contact with him. So I think that's all I want to say right now, but definitely consider this and ask me if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. Oh, and for anybody taking my class online, just because I didn't require you to watch this video, send me an email saying you watched it, and I will give you 5 extra points on your next test.